This is the new Mazda BT-50 and it's based on the new Isuzu D-Max. That's a shift away from the Ford Ranger platform which was based on in the past. Now, has that been a good thing? There's a new look, sure, but there's been a reduction in power and torque. We're going to take it for a drive to see how it goes. But before we get stuck into that, if you want even more detail on this new BT-50, read my full yarn at CarsGuide.com.au and make sure you watch our comparison review and our range review. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe, share it with your mates and hit that bell icon to stay up to date with all of our content. This GT Spec Dual Cab 4x4 is the top variant in the new BT-50 range. It has a new 3-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine which produces less power and torque than the previous BT-50's 5-cylinder engine. It's actually down 7 kilowatts and 20 newton meters. It has a 6-speed automatic transmission and a part-time 4-wheel drive system with high and low range 4-wheel drive and a stack of driver assist tech which I'll detail later. All 4-wheel drive BT-50s have a rear diff lock. In terms of dimensions, this BT-50 is 5,280mm long with a 3,125mm wheelbase. It is 1,870mm wide, 1,790mm high, and it has a listed curb weight of 2,035 kilograms. Look, I'm not a big fan of waxing lyrical about a vehicle's appearance or styling, but I'm going to give it a crack anyway, so just bear with me. I like the Mazda's looks. It's got a bit of a generic ute type appearance about it, but I don't mind it. Apparently it ties in with Mazda's Kodo design language, whatever that is, but all round it looks pretty good. The tray is 1,571mm long at floor height. It is 1,530mm wide, but it's 1,120mm between the wheel arches. It is 490mm deep. Back here you don't get a lot, not even a tub liner, but you do get 4 sturdy looking tie-down points. Let's check out the back seats. In terms of comfort, it's pretty much okay back here. Behind my driving position I have reasonable headroom and a fair bit of leg room. And there's a fold-down armrest with built-in cup holders, there's directional air vents, a USB socket and a handy little cargo hook. As I mentioned, this is the top spec in the BT-50 lineup, so you would assume it'd have a real prestige feel about it. And it feels a little bit premium, but it also feels a little bit underdone. There are soft touch leather surfaces here and there, but there are also lots of hard plastic. And in places, those hard plastic panels don't match. They're not exactly flush. And the glove boxes, it's a little bit sticky, but otherwise it's a pretty comfortable space. That screen is nice and big and clear. It is angled a little bit, so you do catch glare throughout the day, which can be a little bit annoying, but it is easy to use. You've got plenty of storage spaces, cup holders in the center console, in the doors, all the usual spaces to throw your bits and pieces. You've got a 12-volt socket here and a USB port, so you're pretty much ready to go. Well, the good news is the BT-50 is quite nice to drive on road, and it always was when it was built on the Ford Ranger platform. It was nice and quiet and smooth and refined and pretty enjoyable to steer around. And it makes sense that it is quite nice on road because after all, it's lifted everything from the D-Max, and we've tested that before, a few variants, and they've all impressed us when we've been driving on the bitumen, around town, on the highways. It's overall a pretty good thing. Steering is well weighted and precise, and it never feels too floaty. It feels quite right for this ute. Acceleration is nice. You've got plenty of power and torque on tap there, and even though there has been a reduction over what it had when it was built off the Ford Ranger, it's not too substantial and it doesn't affect the day-to-day driving experience. Fuel consumption is a claimed 8 litres per 100 kilometres on a combined cycle. It was showing 8.6 litres per 100 kilometres on our dash, but on test we recorded an actual fuel consumption of 10.5 litres per 100 kilometres. The BT-50 has a 76 litre fuel tank. There is a touch of diesel clatter at lower speeds, but it's not too intrusive, and overall noise, vibration and harshness levels are really quite well subdued. Suspension is well sorted out, and you only ever really get an indication that it's a ute is when that back end skips a tiny bit through coarser, uneven surfaces, but that's nothing a load in the back wouldn't fix. The engine and auto are a pretty good match-up. That engine never feels stressed, and that's during stop-start driving or out on the open road. It does a pretty good job, and the auto's a smooth shifting unit. That's pretty clever, pretty smart most of the times, and it makes for a pretty even-handed, sort of composed driving experience. So overall, while it has lost a little bit of power and torque in the transition to the D-Max platform, and it lacks a little bit of refinement, it's just not quite at Ford Ranger or VW Amarok levels, it's pretty impressive. But how does it go off-road? Well, that's what we're about to check out right now. The BT-50 has a claimed 240mm of ground clearance, a wading depth of 800mm, and approach, departure and ramp over angles of 30.4 degrees, 24.2 degrees and 23.8 degrees respectively. We've arrived at our set piece hill climb, but we are going down it just to see how the hill descent control system works. And so far, it's been pretty effective. It's kept us to a speed of about 2 or 3 k's an hour, and that's a nice, safe, controlled speed. You can just watch where you're going, make sure the car's all right, make sure your line's all right, and that you can maintain safe progress. It handled everything on the way in. We drove some fast gravel and dirt tracks, lightly corrugated, a little bit washed out here and there by the overnight rain, which was pretty heavy, but it did really well. The BT-50 is essentially, as we've mentioned, the D-Max with a different skin, but underneath all the mechanicals, all the four-wheel drive system, the suspension, the drivetrain, everything is D-Max. And the D-Max has proved itself on this track before, and this is a pretty severe track. This is a decent test for stock standard vehicles. You've got to remember they're on road tyres, tyres that are aimed at being nice and comfortable and handle well on road. They're not made for off-roading, but they're doing a pretty good job right now. And uphill it goes pretty well too. There's plenty of torque on tap. You've got to give it the right boot here and there because we are chopping it up as we go. There was some heavy rain overnight, and what usually is a pretty serious track anyway has become even more severe. Washed out, exposed tree roots, there's rocks everywhere, there's broken branches. It's a lot of fun, but you've got to drive with some consideration. And this Mazda Ute is going really well. Low range gearing is good, and just as an overall package, it's got all the good things from the D-Max with just a Mazda skin on top, a bit of Mazda metal on top. And that's not what matters when you're out in stuff like this. What matters is the mechanicals, the drivetrain, the four-wheel drive system. And everything comes together pretty well in this BT-50. And overall, it's a pretty decent package. Payload is listed as 1,065 kilograms for the Auto GT, and it has a maximum towing capacity of 750 kilograms, that's unbraked, and 3,500 kilograms, and that's braked. Safety gear includes 8 airbags, AEB, lane keep assist, lane departure prevention, and more. A 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty applies to the BT-50. The Mazda BT-50 has always been a decent ute, and it hasn't lost a step with that shift from the Ford Ranger platform to the D-Max platform. Sure, it has less power and torque, but that hasn't impacted the overall performance. It's a very comfortable, very capable ute, and it's well worth your consideration. What do you reckon? Have your say in the comments section below, and remember, go easy on the swear words.